The story begins with players enjoying a game of rugby. Later, in the boys' room, the captain tells Roberto he should have passed the ball for a win. Everyone gathers at the airport for a trip, taking a group picture before takeoff. As the plane goes up, they're all having a good time. Suddenly, minutes before landing, the plane shakes. Fear grips everyone as the pilot urges seat belt fastening. Out of nowhere, the plane crashes into a mountain. Passengers are crushed, some stabbed, others with broken limbs. After the crash, those who regain consciousness start assisting the trapped passengers. A doctor on board begins aiding the injured. Nando and others head to the cockpit, finding the pilot still alive. Attempting to call for help, they discover the radio isn't working. Sadly, the pilot passes away. Night falls and the cold is unbearable. People huddle together for warmth, desperately trying to shield themselves. As the sun rises, a harsh reality unfolds. Some passengers succumb to the freezing temperatures. Their lives have been claimed by the unforgivable cold. The survivors grapple with the harsh aftermath, facing both the physical and emotional toll of the tragic event. In the morning, they somberly discuss the casualties, learning that Marcelo, Pancho, Martinez, Daniel, and many others didn't survive the crash. Pulling together, they collect the deceased, setting them aside until rescue arrives. Luggage is removed from the plane. To create more space for the night, they unearth food supplies, distributing them among the survivors. Nando asks his friend about the elapsed time, discovering it's been 3 days with no help. He got shocked when his friends told him that his mother passed away during the crash. Nando hugs his sister to protect her from the cold and mourn their mother's loss. Amidst this, a distant plane sound catches their attention. Raising hopes for rescue, the group eagerly awaits help. As they sit closely, conversation shifts to thoughts of delicious food, providing a brief comfort from the grim reality they face. The next day, they hear a plane but can't see it. A friend draws a map in the snow, discussing the area they're in, suggesting the rescuers might be searching elsewhere. Marcello urges them not to lose hope. They plan to go to the tail crash site so they can get the battery, fix the radio, and call for help. As they climb, someone looks back and shockingly realizes they can't see the plane anymore. They turn around to witness an avalanche and hurriedly head back. After 3 days, they ran out of food they found in the crash. Inside, the plan discussion turns grim. As they consider eating the deceased to survive, some argue for it, while others firmly refuse. Some resort to chewing on shoelaces and smoking cigarettes. Even their urine turns black. One night, Nando sadly sees that his sister named Susanna passing away. He asks Gustavo to help her. Next day, he writes a letter to his parents telling them about Susanna's death, and then solemnly buries. After 9 days, desperation forces most survivors to resort to eating the deceased for sustenance. Feta chooses the bodies and Strout Cousins cuts them for others to eat. Some members discover a radio and attempt to get a signal. Pancho urges Numa to eat for survival. Suddenly, a scream pierces the air, and they hear on the radio that the search party has been called off. Hope evaporates, and despair takes over. They cry and feel desperate after hearing the news. The next day, Numa, Gustavo, and Maspin secretly head to the tail crash site, discovering Gaston, Ramon, Daniel, and others dead in the snow. Night falls, and they huddle together for warmth. It's morning, and they got out of the snow half frozen. Without wasting time, they return to the main crash site. Numa tells his friends there's nothing out there but death. Nando offers Numa meat, and with heavy heart he eats it. One day, all the survivors are inside the plane, sharing stories, and there's joy and happiness all around. Suddenly, avalanche hits the plane and buries them. Joy turns into despair. Those who got out, they try to help the others. One by one, they got one another out of the snow. Sadly, luck was not on their side. They got hit by another avalanche and gets buried in the snow. They count the casualties, discovering Diego, Lillian, Maspins, Enrique, Juan, Marcello, and others are dead. They gather the bodies in one place. It's been 2 days now since they got buried in the snow. One of them dug the hole in the snow so that air can come in and they can breathe. A suggestion to cut the body and distribute the meat rises. Roberto cuts the body and distributes the meat among the survivors. After seeing this, Numa in anger wants to get out of this hole. He cuts his leg when he was trying to break the plane window. It's been 4 days since they got buried. Numa is still digging the hole so he and the others can get out. At last he sees the light and everyone starts to get out of the grave. Everyone is happy to see the light. They are playing with each other, enjoying the sunny day. One day, Arturo expresses a belief that he will die soon. He tells his friends that he believes in God, his friends, who are living and who are dead. All of them are planning how to get to Chile and get help. One of them suggests that thaw starts on November 15. And we have to wait 2 weeks to start our journey. Arturo falls sick. And despite Gustavo and Roberto's effort as doctors, they couldn't do anything to save him. After 3 days his lungs are filled with fluid and he dies. 4 survivors volunteer to go and seek help on the journey. Numa falls down. Upon checking his wound, Roberto sees that it is infected. He decides to return back alone. The rest continue and go get help. Numa faints upon reaching the crash site. When he wakes up, he hears Vasco is in pain, who eventually passes away. Numa and Lillian's husband are having conversation with each other. Numa expresses feeling useless due to his leg. But Lillian's husband shares a touching story about his wife's sacrifice, installing hope in Numa. Numa wakes up and sees Nando is sitting in front of him. Nando informs Numa about finding the tail. Others are digging the plan out for the radio. He tells Numa that they found clothes, cigarettes, food to eat, and the battery to make radio work. Then he gave him chocolate to eat. After retrieving the radio, they go back to the tail crash site, so they can make radio working again and call for help. Sadly, they were unsuccessful in doing so. They received no response. They go back to their grim routine of eating human meat. Like it's a daily routine, Numa is offered meat by Pancho. He shares his feeling with Pancho that he wants to meet his family, his siblings, but he is going to die here soon. Out of love, Pancho tells him that he can cry in front of him. He can let out his feelings. They again visit the tail site to fix the radio. Still, they were unable to do so. They found a waterproof fabric and left a message on the window about their location. They plan to make a vest out of the fiber. On radio, they hear about another search party who is looking for their dead bodies. As days pass, they find solace in each other's company, making bird sounds and taking pictures for their loved ones. Numa, resigned to his fate, asks Nando to eat him when he dies. The next day, he peacefully passes away with a heart-touching message in his pocket. In the letter it was written that there is no greater love than to give one's life for friends. Roberto declares they will leave the next day. The following day, Nando, Roberto, and another companion meticulously pack enough food to last for weeks. Tearful goodbyes are exchanged, and they set out towards Chile. At night they camped amidst the mountains. Upon reaching the top next day, there is nothing but more snow and mountains, despite the bleakness. Nando adamantly refuses to turn back. He asks Roberto to come with him. Roberto said yes. They both send their friend back to preserve the remaining food and to give hope to others. Upon reaching back, he tells them they are going to make it. After a few days into their uncomfortable journey, they stumble upon a flowing river, a beacon of hope. Drinking from it, a man on horseback appears, tossing them paper and pen. They seize the opportunity to write a desperate message. 14 members stranded in the snow, devoid of water, food, and clothes, pleading for rescue. A runner sprints to his boss's office to deliver the message. The boss pins the location on the map. They took Nando with them to find the exact spot. Back at the crash site, a radio announcement reverberates, revealing that Nando and Roberto have succeeded. Everyone is getting ready to meet their families. They hear their names announced twice on the telephone to confirm their survival. A helicopter arrives, and joy erupts as they board, dancing and laughing on their way to reunite with loved ones. Upon arrival, survivors meet their parents, children, and spouses. Doctors tend to their wounds. The media seeks interviews, and millions of unknown well-wishers express joy at their survival. In a quiet room, survivors gather, some on beds, some on the floor, remembering those who didn't make it. There were total 45 passengers on the plane. After the crash, 33 survived, and after 72 days, only 16 survivors were left. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more videos, and don't forget to press the bell icon.